You were not born to blend in. You were not created to live an average life, chase temporary pleasures, or beg the world for permission to rise. You were born with fire in your chest, a crown in your mind, and a sword in your soul. But somewhere along the line, they made you forget. They trained you to sit when you should have stood. They taught you to fear rejection instead of commanding your worth. They fed you lies, that you're not enough, not smart enough, not ready. They buried your royalty under routine. But now's the time. This is the moment. You don't need to wait for some perfect chance, some divine sign, or someone to save you, because the king doesn't wait. The warrior doesn't flinch. You are both. To think like a king is to own your vision with complete certainty. To act like a warrior is to chase that vision with relentless discipline and unstoppable force. One governs the mind, the other, the mission. Together, they become the force that bends reality. Look at the greats. Carnegie, who began in poverty and built an empire of steel. Edison, who failed over 10,000 times until light itself obeyed him. Lincoln, mocked, defeated, broken, and still he rose. They were not lucky, they were not chosen, they were forged in silence, in struggle, in faith. They thought like kings, never letting doubt infect their vision. They acted like warriors, facing resistance not with retreat, but with resolve. They weren't superhuman, they were focused. Success doesn't come from just thinking positive. It comes from thinking with purpose and then moving with power. You want freedom? Then discipline is your price. You want respect? Then resilience is your currency. You want to lead? Then first, master yourself. The world does not care about your intentions. It only responds to what you command through belief and action. And belief isn't wishful thinking. It's internal law. Kings don't doubt the throne they sit on. Warriors don't question the battle once it begins. And yet, so many are lost. Not because they lack intelligence, but because they lack identity. They act like victims in a world waiting for leaders. They wait for motivation when they should be building momentum. They want applause before they've earned their own self-respect. But you're here because something in you refuses to settle. Something in you knows there's more. And I'm here to tell you, there is. But only if you step up. Only if you remember who you really are. You see, royalty isn't given. It's declared. Warriorhood isn't inherited. It's built every single day. When the alarm rings and you get up, even when you don't want to, you're acting like a warrior. When you set a vision and protect it from negativity, fear, and doubt, you're thinking like a king. Your habits write your future in real time. Your focus carves your legacy into history. So the question isn't, can I do this? The question is, will I train myself until there's no other option? The answer must become yes. Because the dream is expensive, and the price is discipline, clarity, sacrifice, and grit. Every king has a code. Every warrior has a ritual. And yours begins now.
Your future is not waiting in the stars. It's forged in the dirt, in early mornings, late nights, lonely hours, and silent discipline. That's where kings are born. That's where warriors are made. You don't need more inspiration. You need a decision, a declaration that says, I will no longer live below my potential. I will not die with my greatness buried beneath comfort. I will build the life that I see when I close my eyes. Because here's the truth. The world bends for the man who refuses to break. It moves for the mind that refuses to settle. It listens to the voice that speaks with clarity and conviction. And clarity only comes when you stop chasing 100 things and start mastering one. Purpose is not found. It's built. And it's built in the silence of sacrifice. When you turn down distractions. When you choose growth over entertainment. When you say no to mediocrity, not once, but every day. You don't need permission to live with power. You need responsibility to yourself. The responsibility to rise above excuses, to choose action over anxiety, to become the leader of your own mind. Because that's where everything begins, the mind. Napoleon Hill said it best, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But belief alone is not enough. Belief must become identity. And identity must become action. You want to be wealthy? Then start thinking like someone who already is. Not someone who hopes or begs or waits, but someone who walks into every room knowing who they are, what they stand for, and what they came to build. The greatest enemy is not outside of you. It's the hesitation within, the voice that says, "Not today," that whispers, "You're not ready," that tells you, "This isn't the right time." Burn that voice. Destroy it with discipline. Because no one who ever changed the world was fully ready. They moved anyway. They showed up anyway. They believed, acted, learned, failed, and rose again. To think like a king is to lead even when no one follows. To act like a warrior is to fight even when no one applauds. Because greatness is not always seen. It's felt by the one who lives it, by the one who carries it like fire in their chest. You must become that fire. And fire doesn't ask for the wind to blow in its favor. It creates its own blaze. It consumes every doubt, every delay, every excuse. Do you want success? Then do what most people won't. Wake up with purpose. Work in silence. Train your body. Sharpen your mind. Speak with intention. Act without hesitation. Because success doesn't come from wishing. It comes from alignment. When your thoughts, your words, and your actions all say the same thing. I will not be denied. That's what makes a king. That's what fuels a warrior. And that's what separates the watchers from the creators, the average from the exceptional. You cannot be both. You cannot chase comfort and call yourself hungry. You cannot stay distracted and say you're focused. You cannot seek approval and claim you are free. You must choose every day, every hour, every moment. Choose mastery over mediocrity. Choose power over fear. Choose growth over ease. Because this is the truth. Your life will be built by the choices you make when no one is watching. And those choices will either crown you or chain you.
There is a battlefield inside your mind. And most people lose before they ever step onto the field. They surrender to doubt. They lay down their weapons before resistance even shows its face. But not you. Not anymore. You're not here to play it safe. You're not here to follow the crowd, to fit in, or to survive. You are here to dominate your potential, to conquer your fears, and to take your rightful place, not because the world gave it to you, but because you built yourself into someone who could claim it. But make no mistake, this path will not be easy. It is not for the weak. There will be days when you're tired, days when you question everything, days when no one claps, no one notices, and no one cares. And that's exactly when kings are born. That's exactly when warriors sharpen their edge. Comfort never created greatness. Obstacles were never meant to break you, only to reveal you. And every challenge you face is life asking you one question. How bad do you really want it? Because saying you want a crown is easy. Living like you've already earned it, that's different. That means you train when you're tired. That means you speak truth when it's risky. That means you show up when most hide. It means you raise your standards until average suffocates in your presence. This is not motivation. This is a call to war against the habits, thoughts, and doubts that have kept you small. You will not negotiate with fear. You will not bargain with weakness. You will not make peace with the part of you that wants to settle. You are not chasing a goal. You are becoming someone. And that transformation, it's paid for in blood, sweat, hours, and silence. And it all begins in the mind. You must think like a king. A king does not chase every distraction. He is not moved by noise. He rules with intention. He builds with vision. He is surrounded by chaos, but he remains centered. Why? Because he has something most men do not have: clarity. Clarity of purpose. Clarity of mission. Clarity of self. And with clarity comes power. Because when you know who you are, you stop asking for permission to be it. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't even understand themselves. You stop shrinking for rooms that were never meant to hold your full size. And then comes the second law: act like a warrior. A warrior does not wait for the perfect mood. He builds discipline that doesn't care how he feels. He trains his instincts, so when the time comes to strike, he doesn't hesitate. He moves. And he knows, every day that he pushes forward, he is becoming sharper. Every hour he commits, he is becoming stronger. Every failure he faces, he is becoming unbreakable. The difference between those who win and those who never will is not talent. It's not luck. It's consistency. Are you willing to show up again, even when the progress is invisible? Even when the results are small? Even when the world doesn't clap? Because that's what separates a dreamer from a doer. That's what makes an empire out of nothing. That's how Carnegie turned steel into a legacy. That's how Ford turned vision into revolution. That's how kings are made. Not overnight, but over time. You must build the internal empire before the external kingdom will ever appear. That means mastering your mind, mastering your time, mastering your emotion. Stop reacting to life. Start creating it. The king plans, the warrior executes, and you must be both.